A single bowl rings like a small bell. Imagine that sound. High, clear. It cuts through market murmurs and river wind. The sound holds a story of hands, of crossings, of quiet uses that last generations. What does a bowl remember as it passes from cellar to household, from altar to kitchen? Stay with that question. Welcome to Ancient Echoes.
I'm Samnang Bradley, and today we follow porcelain as it travels, from riverside stalls to household altars, listening for the small histories objects collect along the way. I promise this episode will center consent and care. No advice on buying antiquities, no technical authentication, just the social life of ceramics and how communities make these objects their own.
First, a short map of connections. For centuries, merchants moved along Southeast Asia's rivers and coasts. Chinese ceramics arrived in ports, on barges, and through local trade networks. Rather than giving a dry list of dates or pedigree claims, listen for the patterns. Objects coming as gifts and goods, entering markets, being repurposed by households that had names and rituals long before these items arrived. The trade routes mattered less as lines on a map and more as channels of people, stories, and needs. Picture a morning market beside a slow river. A vendor arranges bowls on a woven mat. A child tugs at a sari while an elder runs a fingertip along the rim of a blue and white dish. The bowl, once used for tea in another place, becomes a rice bowl here, or a cup for incense at a household altar. These shifts are not mistakes, they are translations. Form gets folded into local practice, and the meaning changes. That transformation is what I want you to hear. I remember an elder I met in Battambang. She kept a small bowl under a faded cloth, polishing it as she prepared offerings each morning. She did not speak of the bowl as rarefied or exotic. She said simply, "This bowl goes with our ancestors at the altar." She mended a hairline crack with a dark resin long ago, practical repair. And when I asked about its origin, she smiled and said, "It arrived with my mother." The object's life became a family rhythm, more than a museum label.
Another vignette, a market stall where shards were sorted into plastic basins. A young seller told me how customers buy broken pieces for small rituals. Shards reshaped into cups for shadow offerings. Shards set into household altars as reminders of continuity. There is ingenuity here, repair, reuse, meaning-making. The trade is not only about whole, pristine goods. It's about fragments finding new jobs within domestic life.
Let's touch briefly on makers and menders. Across communities, skills for fixing glazed ware are practical and adaptive. I'll not walk through technical steps. That would be unsafe and out of scope. But I will say this, mending is often a social act. A neighbor helps another adhere a rim. A family elder oversees how an object is reshaped for ritual use. In places where resources are scarce, repair is a way of honoring the object's place in life, not a way to pretend it has never been broken.
There's also a market economy around secondhand ceramics. Vendors, collectors, families who sell inherited pieces, these economies have rules that outsiders often misread. Please do not assume every market seller wants more visitors or to be cataloged. And this is crucial. If you're curious about a piece in a home or a stall, ask permission before photographing or touching. Simple phrases work. Try this Khmer English model. Som anukrom, which means, may I take a photo? Or Som chob cheng, may I look closely? If the answer is no, thank them and step back. Offering a small payment for someone's time and the permission to photograph is respectful and often appropriate.
We must also be clear about ethics. I will not give authentication tips or valuation advice. Buying unprovenanced antiquities supports harmful markets. Please resist that. If you are interested in supporting heritage, look for community-run cooperatives, certified museum programs, or conservation initiatives that work directly with local custodians. When in doubt, Consult conservators or trusted institutions rather than making purchases based on a hunch or a low price.
Now, stories of meaning and status. Porcelain often signaled aspiration. Having a tea set from afar might mark a household as connected or prosperous. Over time, everyday use levels that distinction. A prized tea bowl can become the dish used for midday rice. In diaspora luggage, such objects become anchors. A plate wrapped in newspaper is a tactile link to a home, carrying smells and stories across oceans. Gifting practices matter. A piece given at marriage or as a farewell carries narrative weight that outlives its maker's label. Before we close, 3 listening cues to help you spot lived porcelain in the field. First, look for signs of adaptation, glue marks, added vases, or alternative uses like incense holders. Second, notice placement, at an altar, beside a stove, or folded into a travel bundle. Third, listen for stories. If someone stops to tell you why an object matters, that's the clearest signal that the object has a social life beyond its origin.
A quick practical list for visitors. Ask with the phrases I shared, offer thanks or a small token for time. Do not remove objects from homes without documented provenance and community consent. And if you want to share images online, get explicit permission and offer attribution. If you share a modest, permissioned photo on social media, tag Ancient Echoes and Samnang's YouTube. We're curating a gentle visual reel of community-vetted ceramics, and we will only feature items where consent and context are clear.
To close, what does this all mean? These vessels are translators. They carry design from one shore to another, but they arrive into households that name them, mend them, and fold them into ritual. That pattern, translation, repair, and memory, is foundational to how communities keep continuity even as objects cross borders. The next time a small clink catches your ear at a market or a neighbor's kitchen, listen. What stories might that sound open up?
Let's unlock the echoes of history together.
In the quiet of night, I whispered my plea, holding her close, hoping for her decree. I called upon spirits, asked them to guide, to take her heart and lead her by my side. So I drew her near, traced her brow so fair, my sight is way. Sacred power, swai, mighty spirit awaken. By the master's right, let her heart be gently taken. Let her follow me now by vow and by sign. I hear these words, oh teacher, witness this plea. Oh, my sacred power, swai.